we are going to go to Zoom, and we have one question currently on the Zoom. Hey, go ahead, unmute yourself and identify who you're representing and to whom you're asking your questions.
Howdy, my name is 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝗀. I'm with East Coast Gridiron. I have a question for Garrett. Your left tackle, Wyatt, has been an incredible player over the course of his career in Morgantown and is projected to be drafted potentially in the first round of this draft. What has he meant to you protecting your blind side out there on the field?
Yeah, he's been awesome. First of all, he's one of my best friends. Me and him really started clicking, when we were freshmen. But he's a phenomenal talent, a phenomenal player. He should be the first tackle off the board. It's been great to not have to worry about the left side. These last four years or whatever it was. But he's a phenomenal player and a better person.
It's 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 with East Coast Gridiron here, and I'm here with Josiah Stewart, edge rusher from Michigan. Josiah, you were making a lot of plays earlier on one-on-ones. How does it feel to come out the gates running here at the Senior Bowl?
I mean, it feels great. Just come out here competing. I mean, I didn't expect anything else. I mean, it's just fun playing with the best of the best, and that kind of gets you fired up even more, knowing you're going up against the best. So you got to give it your all.
Yeah, and this past year, you played on a very productive and star-studded defensive line with Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, but you put up some insane numbers this season with your sacks and pass rush win rate, man. So, talk to me about what it was like to play with other talented guys on the defensive line and how y'all were able to help each other out.
For sure. I mean, those guys are extremely talented. I mean, you guys see it on the tape. Just knowing you can trust those guys inside, that quarterback's not going anywhere. They're going to stuff the run, and there's guys that you can count on. And the best thing about it is playing as a unit. So when we play as a unit, man, we have a lot of fun. And one thing we used to do throughout the year is, one day a week, we'll always come to my house and watch film together and diagnose plays and diagnose teams to figure out how we can attack them together, as a unit instead of individually one-on-one.
Right.
That kind of, helped us propel us throughout the year.
Awesome. And one last question for you, man. A lot of people have questions about your size, your height. How do you turn that thing that can be viewed as a negative and make it into a positive, into an advantage for you?
Well, the advantage for me is just my natural leverage. I mean, I get under guys quicker. I'm faster than guys, guys don't want to get that low.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, if you turn on the tape, man, you see a football player. If you look at guys in the past, greats like Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, Hassan Reddick, shorter stature guys, Von Miller. Those aren't the bigger guys, but they still produce at a high level. And I mean, size does not matter.
Dude, appreciate it. Love, man. Good luck.
What's going on, everybody? My name's Evan. I'm here with East Coast Gridiron, joined here with Dan Jackson. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I've been pretty good. You started college off 2019, wanted to play football, nobody recruited you, and then you kind of became a walk-on. And your coach, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀𝘀, even said that you're one of the greatest, college stories in college football. You were there for the 2019 championship. Injuries kind of hindered you a little bit, 2022, 2023, and you came back. Two-time national championship, two-time SEC championship. How has this whole journey just been for you, man?
It's been a great journey. I wouldn't trade it for anything. From walking on and to battling with those guys at Georgia, I'm just so thankful to come from there. And the biggest thing for me is just resilience, and I want to keep it going.
Yeah. So, kind of as we mentioned, 2022, you were sidelined a little bit with injury, kind of benched down. Again, just not a bunch to your name at that point until this previous year. Was there really any kind of moment where you were like, maybe I need to hang it up, or was it always just keep head strong, keep your head up, keep going?
Never a moment like that. I just love the game too much, and I put so much into it, I don't want to quit now.
It's funny, 𝗕𝘂𝘀 Smith last year when I interviewed him said pretty much exactly the exact same thing. And then, just kind of last question. So you usually go between you're very versatile lineup, strong, free safety, wherever you're needed. What are kind of the pros and cons between both the positions? And if you're, given the option in the NFL, which would you rather prefer being in, or does it just depend like scheme-wise?
Yeah, for me it really doesn't matter. At Georgia I played left and right safety, strong, free, and I just got as many reps as I could, and thankfully I got a lot of experience there both, and I'm just ready to excel at both.
Perfect. Thank you, man. Again, very glad that we discovered you with your teammate. Enjoy the draft here, man. Nice meeting you. I'm here with 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀, wide receiver out of Florida. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's a really good opportunity today.
All right, cool. So just a couple questions for you. First and foremost, so, you were in a lot of sports in high school. You were in, basketball, track and field, football. You got your pick. So, what kind of led you choosing football as the path that you wanted to go down towards? And have any of the other sports kind of helped you perfect your game a little bit or anything like that?
Yeah, I think playing multiple sports as a younger kid is really good. Allows you to develop, a bunch of different movements and skills that you can use. But yeah, football is kind of just my first love, and it's the one that I felt like I could play at the highest level. So, I stuck with it. I'm happy I did.
You definitely looked good for the Gators, and definitely looked good out there today. One of my favorite things about wide receiver is getting physical. It's a stat that doesn't really pop up on a stat sheet, but that doesn't really seem to bother you. You seem to get out there, like to block a lot. Is there anything that kind of, helps motivate you, helps strengthen your blocking game, and you just love to get physical with another defender as the wide receiver?
Yeah, I think it's the most unselfish thing you could do. You know what I mean? The old line sitting in there taking on 300-pounders, running backs are stepping up in pass pro. So, it's when it's my turn to block in the run game, I want to do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Pearsall said the exact same thing last year. Like, it's selfish, but I'm going to get in there and do it. So just kind of last question real quick. You know the route tree quite well. Stated earlier, you're a physical receiver. You're able to play on the slot, outside, jet sweeps. What's kind of some of your favorite assignments? Pick whatever play you want. Just out of any playbook, and are you going to line up at the XYZ receiver, where you kind of want to line up at?
I think I have versatility. I played everywhere in college. I operated a lot of slot this year, and I really enjoyed it. But I think that I can plug and play in a team and help them at different spots. So I've been trying to work that this week and play different spots and work against the best. So.
Anyway, well, hopefully, I hope everything goes well for you, man. Hopefully, appreciate you.
Virginia Tech defensive lineman Aeneas Peebles, man. Bro, you had a very excellent first 2 days of practice, disrupting plays in the backfield, especially in the running game. Even though you had an excellent pass rush win rate, you can do it all. So, I guess, do you have a preference between the two? When you blow up a running play, you get more enjoyment from that or getting a sack or a pressure?
Yeah, there's nothing in the world like a sack, and a pressure, and, just dominating offensive lineman one-on-one. But at the end of the day, the NFL is all about being a complete player. There's definitely guys in the NFL who specialize in one or the other, but, every day I've came out here, I've tried to, establish myself as a complete player, and hopefully I'm doing that so far.
Sweet, love it. With your size, you're a little smaller for a defensive tackle, but you're out here, again, making a lot of plays. How do you try to use that to your advantage against some really talented and also very large offensive linemen?
No doubt about it. Just using my natural leverage that God gave me. Everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses that they go, that they have, and how they approach the game. I just try to accentuate mine.
Sweet, love it. One last question, man. You were out here going to be on opposite sidelines against a former teammate in 𝙁𝙤𝙀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Y'all are both at Duke together. What's it going to be like playing against each other, after being teammates for a year or two?
It's going to be phenomenal. I'm always cheering for my guys, but not only 𝙁𝙀𝙀𝗀𝗀𝗀, but Riley Leonard. Those are lifelong friends that, as soon as I got here, just to give those guys a hug and, just say hello to those dudes when I haven't seen them in what feels like years, but it's only been one. Just following those guys' career and see how successful they've been at their schools that they went to. I've just been enjoying the whole process, and it's going to be even better, going out there and watching RJ rush, and, also chasing Riley around.
Yeah, I guess one last follow-up for that. What are you going to say to Riley if you get a sack on him?
I'm going to say I love him,
Love it, man. Appreciate it. You're killing out here. Best of luck. And I am here with Notre Dame edge rusher 𝙁𝙀𝙀𝗀𝗀𝗀. RJ, how was your day of practice today? You were balling out there.
Yeah, man, I feel like I was able to take advantage of my opportunities. I think there's definitely a couple reps I got to clean up, but, just looking to take forward and capitalize on those strengths that I had today and move forward for tomorrow.
Love it, man. Man, you're out here after a long playoff run where you reached the national championship game. Pretty quick turnaround here. How's your body feeling? Are you ready to attack this week?
Yeah, man, my body feels pretty good. I think, our strength coaches and, Coach Freeman did a great job just, taking care of the guys' bodies and making sure we're recovering, in and out of those playoff weeks and then late into the season. So, my body was feeling fresh coming into this, and, I feel like I have an advantage, being, just playing my last game last Monday. So, still in football shape, still, have my instinct, at the highest level. So, just trying to show that this week.
Sweet. Just a couple more questions for you. You have played for Mike Elko and Marcus Freeman, two great coaches, both defensive masterminds, right? How did they impact you, not only as a player, right, as a player on the defensive side of the ball, but also just as a person?
Yeah, man, I think, those guys just, pushed me to become the best version of myself. I think, just playing amongst a bunch of complex front and under great, defensive masterminds that, just push you to prepare more and, to have just a better understanding of the defense, better understanding of how your role fits in, to the game plan. I think those guys have have a great mind in terms of, adjusting the game plan to fit, different teams and different schemes. So just having that understanding of, how to stop offenses practice is something I learned a lot, and just paying attention to the details. I think most of those coaches just stress details and improve my game, and to the next level each and every day. So I appreciate them for that.
Love, man. Last thing here. After the last practice, I was able to interview former teammate of yours at Duke, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗧, man. Y'all are both dominant forces at Duke together. Are you looking forward to seeing him this week?
Yeah, of course, man. 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗧 is great, man. He lights up the room, man. He lights it up on the field, man. He's just a great teammate, great guy to be around, and I'm happy to see him this week.
Love him, man. Appreciate it. Oh, whoops. Your dog, man.
Here by Billy Bowman Jr. from Oklahoma. First and foremost, happy birthday. Saw you yesterday, but was like, I know his birthday's tomorrow from research. I'm going to get him tomorrow and make sure to wish him happy birthday.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
So, first and foremost, just want to ask, standard-wise from the media, it kind of got a shorter frame for a bit of a safety, but I see you kind of have the same stature of like a Sidney Brown, 𝗕𝘂𝘀 Smith, kind of stuff like that. So, how do you kind of work with the disadvantage and turn that disadvantage into an advantage? That way, you make your presence felt on the field.
Correct. I try to be the first and foremost. I try to be the most prepared guy out there. So knowing my job at all times. And then secondly, I'm a playmaker. So coaches and players and teammates, they love people who can go get that ball back for you. But growing up all my life, I've always watched Tyrann Mathieu, and I feel like that's the best comparison is Tyrann Mathieu.
I didn't even think of Tyrann Mathieu. That's an excellent point. So you mentioned your playmaker, and in 2022-2023 season, you absolutely were. 249 interception yards. You had 3 pick sixes, which set an NCAA record. So did your interception yards. What are you working on right now, and what do you credit all that success for to kind of show these scouts here that that wasn't just a one fluke season. This is who I am. I am a playmaker.
Yeah. Going from my junior season, having all those interceptions, and then senior season, kind of dropping that production a little bit. It was due to a couple factors, but mainly I wasn't being tested as much as I was the year before. But coming out here, I just want to show that I can be a guy who can guard slot receivers and tight ends, and ultimately I fly to the ball. So I'm always going to be around the ball and make the tackles and stuff.
All right, and then last question for you: if you had the ability to choose, which would you prefer? Man, zone, nickel, slot. Again, you're very versatile. So kind of, if you're able to pick specifically where in the NFL you want to play, where would you pick and why?
If I had to pick, I would pick being on the top, being on the roof like a center fielder. I feel like that's where I can use my football IQ to the max. Being able to have big vision on the quarterback, seeing formations, seeing motions, all those type of things. Just allow me to go be a smart player and then take the ball out the air when it's thrown.
All right, perfect. Well, again, happy birthday, man. Good luck this week. Hope to see you in the draft.
What's up, everybody? It's Dante here with East Coast Gridiron. Here, my man Seth Hennigan, quarterback from Memphis. How you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I can't complain, man. Been watching you do your thing all week, and I've been pounding the table for you for years. 4-year starter in Memphis. Kind of go through the process of what that was like, and how you think the impact that you left on Memphis. So, what do you want that to be?
Yeah, I feel like I left a pretty good legacy at Memphis, having been a 4-year starter at the university. Threw for over 14,000 yards, 13th all-time in the FBS in passing yards, over 100 passing touchdowns. Didn't win that conference championship, which was obviously the goal. It's all about, the team goals, but ended up with a pretty great career, having started all 4 years, played with some great players, had a blast there.
So we can get into a lot of the players that have been on your team. Rock Taylor's been one of those guys that's been a rock for your team, no pun intended. How has he helped your development? How's your relationship with him, and what do you wish for him in the future?
Yeah, I wish all the success in the world for him in the future. He came in my class of 2021 to Memphis. He was a 4-star, committed somewhere else, and then ended up falling to Memphis in the recruiting process. So he was definitely a blessing to have on my team, and just a stud, 6'3", 220. He's going to run well. So, his ceiling is limitless. So hopefully he has a great process and he makes the NFL and has a great career.
So the multiple systems that you've been in at this point, being a 4-year guy at Memphis, coming in here, there's a lot of guys that have been on the same team and the same system and things like that. Do you think that gives you an advantage? And how are you using that this week?
Yeah, just being able to be intelligent, fluid intelligence, learning things on the fly. That's definitely something that works to your benefit as a quarterback. So just being able to pick things up quickly and then execute them the next day has worked in my favor.
Last question for you. So you could throw every throw in the route tree. What's your favorite route to throw? And, you know, which one do you feel more comfortable with, more importantly?
I'd say probably a 5-step glance to the X receiver, the stud. Rock was the guy for me in college, so that little glance route.
All right, well, this has been Seth Hennigan from Memphis and Dante with East Coast Gridiron. We appreciate the interview today, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm here with Auburn running back 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶Ｈ𝗲𝘀. Man, how are you feeling after a couple days of practice?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I had a couple solid days going out there and compete.
Love it, man. So, you know, you're used to some pretty competitive ball playing at Auburn in the SEC. You're going up against some familiar foes in the defense. Any guys over there that, you know, have given you some challenges or you enjoy going against in recent years?
Like Texas A&M always have a pretty good, solid defense. They're always pretty good.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that game. I actually go to Texas A&M. Funny enough, obviously Auburn beating Texas A&M in what was it, like 6 overtimes or something? Four overtimes this past year. Man, what was going through your head each and every one of those drives in overtime?
I mean, it was just seeing that, man. You don't want to lose just seeing that. So I feel like as a team, we all just made up our mind that we weren't going to lose this game. So I feel like we did a great job of playing together, and we went out there and competed.
Love it, man. Whenever you're like trying to break down a defender, right? You're approaching him one-on-one. What's your go-to move, man? What are you doing?
Shoot, run them over.
Run him over? I love it. Why is that?
Yeah. It's either a safety or a corner, and I know they don't want to tackle, so that's a great move.
Dude, yeah, I love it, man. I love the physical attitude and mindset. Well, you were very productive in your time at Auburn. Any of those guys you think could dominate the gridiron next year?
I think we got a couple young backs that's going to be pretty good coming up. I think they're going to be solid this year. I think they're going to have good years.
Love it, man. And one last question here. What part of your game do you think will translate the best to the NFL?
I just feel like my running style, that would probably be the best that'll translate.
Dude, love it, man. Appreciate it. You have a great rest of your day.
Walter Nolan here with East Coast Gridiron. Walter, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
I can't complain. Here with you, it's a good day. Kind of my first question is, you're very versatile on the field. You can play inside, you can play on the edge. When you're playing both those positions, what are you kind of looking for? Because you got a good attack on the angle. So I like to compare it kind of like, I don't know if you play video games, but like in Fallout when you're on the Pip-Boy and it's zoom in or whatever, and you've got like the percentages. Yeah. Do you just see like a percentage of like, all right, if I attack jab here, I got a success rate here. What exactly are you processing in your mind?
Really just how he blocked me to snap before, or like just how he blocked some of the players that kind of like do some of the same moves that I do and just trying to counter off of them. That's really it. A lot of times in the trenches, it's all about the counters.
Yeah. All right, so, last year you were kind of projected to be a day 2. You decided to stay another year. You're at Ole Miss. Now you're projected to go top 15, top 10. Personally, you're my favorite defensive lineman in this entire class because of the versatility and everything. So, we're looking at like a Trayvon Walker type of just complete jump. What all do you accredit that to the offseason, and how do you feel, man?
I feel pretty good. I think I did pretty good with taking care of my body. I'm highly blessed and I have no major injuries in my college career. Really just focusing on the little things, in this past offseason. I feel like that don't help me.
Yeah, and again, you're human. Glad you haven't gotten any injuries. And then, kind of just the last one and kind of a fun one. Who's been your favorite offensive lineman to just absolutely destroy and even get to the quarterback? Could be here, could be anywhere. Ole Miss, A&M, high school, doesn't matter.
Really, I wouldn't necessarily say just kill them, but I like to compete with the LSU offensive line. They was a pretty close group. They stayed together for, if I'm not mistaken, like 3 years. Yeah. So anytime you play an offensive line with that much, they're with that good of a connection, it's pretty hard. I feel like I stepped up to the plate and I enjoyed the challenge.
Yeah, you definitely did today. It was quite fun watching. But anyway, thanks, man. That's all I have for you. Good luck in the draft.
Appreciate it.
Tyler Shuck, quarterback of Louisville, quarterback for many teams, by the way. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's kind of football heaven out here. I've been loving it.
Yeah. So, amongst our crowd at East Coast Gridiron, people know I've been raving about you for forever, man. Even when you were back with Justin Herbert and the crew, I'm sure it's a full circle moment, like you were saying up there for you, seeing Jeffrey Boss and the boys. How has this just your whole journey of going so far, and just react to that. How the whole process is going for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think for anything, for me, it's gave me a lot of perspective. It's just a blessing to be here and to have this opportunity, knowing that everybody's timeline's different. It doesn't mean, you're better or worse than guys. I think you just have to take advantage of your opportunities and make the most of it. And I was just really proud to be, alongside a lot of these really great competitors and trying to get better.
So going to Louisville, you're with Jeff Brom and the boys, and right now I know he's like a quarterback guru with what he's been doing with Jack Plummer and the guys that have come before you as well. So with the whole system that you've had up to this point, all the great wide receivers, just kind of walk me through the process at Louisville and how that season went, and were you satisfied with how the season ended?
Yeah, man, I think this year was just a great culmination of being a part of different offenses, getting with Coach Brom, learning a lot from him, just playing in a more pro-style system where there's a lot more on our plate. And obviously we weren't satisfied to complete because we didn't go undefeated. We didn't get into the playoff. But, really was proud of the way, my teammates play. They played their butts off all year. We had some really great victories, winning versus Kentucky and Clemson for the first time in a while, and having a huge victory in the bowl game as well. So for me, it was just a huge opportunity and blessing. And, I couldn't have asked for a better place in Louisville and Coach Brom.
So amongst our crowd, I actually got a notification on social media. They did, some guys out there, the beat writers were like, Tyler Shough, that's our guy now. And I was the first one on the train, and now all of our crowds are, messaging us and everything. They're like, yeah, Tyler's the man. But I know that you've been working on little things like those flat routes where you're bending your body on the outside to get that ball out. So those little mechanical things, you think Jeff and Brian has kind of helped you with that while you're at Louisville?
I think for me, kind of the main guy who's really helped me out with that was Zach Kittley, who was my OC at Texas Tech, being a part of that different offense, and now he's at FAU, and also my quarterback coach Landry Klon. He's done a great job with me, just helping me out, biomechanically wise, throwing with confidence on different platforms and different levels, and Coach Brom, Brian, and Jeff, they both did a really good job of employing me to do that and having those plays where we can get the ball out quick and we're at least trying to find your check down that way. And so yeah, both Coach Broms were super supportive and very helpful in that as well.
One last question for you. So I think you could do everything. Statistically, you were pretty much number one out of every quarterback in the country when it came to just the little things, throwing under pressure percentage, things like that. And we were actually surprised when we saw that. And, we tried to make our crowd understand that, you're one of those guys that's able to deal with the pressure, get the ball out really quick. What is one of your favorite passes in the game to make where you're just like, man, been practicing that one, I kind of hit that one on the dot?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I think anytime you can stand in there with somebody at your face or feet, just having, whether it's an in-cut or an out-cut, and you got somebody in your face and you're layering a throw, I think that's a pretty difficult throw. And showing that or finding somebody late in the back of the end zone on the run. I think that kind of came up a couple times during scramble drill this year. So I think anytime you can make a difficult throw easy, and that's just through reps, it looks hard on tape or maybe on video, but when you rep it and you practice it a lot, then it becomes more routine, and that's my whole goal.
Wish you nothing but success, man. I know at the next level somebody's going to see your talent. You're going to be on one of these teams having a great career. I know it, man, and appreciate you doing the interview with me today. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I literally was like walking over. I walked up from press. I was like, Justin Barron. I was like, why's he got the white helmet? I don't know. I'm not Syracuse. Man, yeah, I thought they were working on that like day one. They just not have the helmets ready or anything?
Stuff wasn't there yet.
Oh, damn. That's rough. All right, what's going on, everybody? My name's Evan. I'm with 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀𝗀, and I'm joined here with Justin Barron out of Syracuse. How we doing, man?
Good. Excited to be down here. Made some new friends. Got some familiar faces, guys you've seen before, but it's been pretty fun.
Yeah. Finally got his equipment back. Didn't have that day one. That was rough. So, kind of a late invite. News of your acceptance was told on January 22nd. What was kind of the process of the phone call leading up to this? How did you feel? And, what were you looking forward to showing out all the scouts and coaches out there in the stands?
Yeah, like you said, I got the late invite, but, the work never really stops. As soon as you leave school, you got that quick transition from the bowl game into going into training. So you just go into training like, with one goal in mind, that's perform well at Combine and Pro Day. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
No, all good. Yeah, completely understandable. No, I was just asking, what are you looking to show all the scouts and coaches out here?
Yeah, the fact that I can play in the box and play linebacker full time. It was my first first year playing linebacker and being in the box all the time, and it happened pretty fast with no offseason for me at linebacker. So just being able to move down and showcase the skills that I had at safety.
Yeah, I was going to say that was kind of the next question. You led the team in tackles, 93 tackles this offseason. You started off as a season as a safety, had moved down to the box as a linebacker. Obviously, kind of a bit of a difference between the two positions. So just wondering if you could tell, the guys out there watching, kind of the difference, the pros and cons, and, which one you kind of prefer, which it seems like you prefer linebacker.
I prefer being around the ball more.
Good answer.
So, in whatever defense that is, I want to be in that spot. But no, the biggest difference, obviously, is that everything happens faster. Those big boys up front are a lot closer to you than you are when you're 10 yards back. So, for me, it was just learning how to use my hands and get off blocks and being able to, communicate to both the D-line, to both the D-line and the DBs.
Yeah. And my phone's turned off. That's fun. All right. So, last question. You got some speed. You had the game-saving tackle or a touchdown-saving tackle against UConn earlier.
You can call it game-saving. It makes it sound.
Game-saving. We'll go with that as well. We'll add it in that post. Game-saving tackle against UConn on the receiver. Speed's awesome. For your size, is there any drills that you're looking forward to? Any goals like for the 40 combine, 10-yard dash, anything like that?
Any goals with it?
Yeah.
I want to run really fast.
Didn't know if you had a time in mind or anything.
Faster than everyone thinks. A lot of people think I'm slow. I feel like that UConn play kind of helped me a little bit. But my play speed is really fast, and I think I'll be able to show that with the 40.
Yeah. It's definitely been fast in this senior role before. I've seen you on the quick drill, so I was like, huh. All right, yeah, they weren't lying about his speed. Anyways, thank you so much, man. Good luck at the combine. Good luck here.
I'm here with Illinois wide receiver Pat Bryant. Pat, you've had a busy 2 days competing against some of the best in the country. Man, how's it been routing up some of these defensive backs out here?
Man, it's been pretty smooth, man. Just enjoying the opportunity, man. Just coming out here, knowing I'm gonna play against some of the best guys in the nation. Really just want to see I want to see how good I am before I get to the league, man. Going to get some of these guys, one day might be my teammates, one day might be my opponent, man. But just, like I say, honestly, just enjoying the opportunity, man, and just learning from NFL coaches on their insight as well.
Love it, man. So this season was a bit of a breakout for you, 10 touchdowns, nearly 1,000 yards. What do you think went into that?
Man, really just breaking it down, man, and just putting my priorities in line, man. Honestly, just creating a routine that'll lead to success and really just dialing in and turning it into a pro, man. Knowing that, I wanted to get to the next level. That's really what, changed my senior year. Just taking that pro aspect to everything that I did in my daily life, and man, just honestly just leading my team, the victories and showing these guys what it takes. The hard work and the dedication that it takes to be, one of the best in the country.
Mm-hmm. So one of those games that you had this year that really contributed to that was against Rutgers, right? You had 197 yards through the air. Man, what made that game different?
I honestly say it was just another game, man, in my eyes, man. Just going against a team like that, man, we were high ranked kind of at that moment, a team that hadn't beat a ranked team ever in history. We knew that they was going to get it all coming out, so we knew that at the same time we'll have to give our all, but hard fighting team, in the Big Ten, man. You can lose on any Saturday. So, man, we're a pretty good fourth quarter team, man. We win a lot of games, in the last couple minutes. So, we kind of just being in that situation, man. We kind of rep it all the time during the week, honestly. And just, just being in those situations, man. I know me as the captain and the leader of the team that I'm about to put my team, the team on my back and lead us to victory.
Love it, man. One last question, and I'll just preface it with this. The game NCAA that came out over the summer? My first dynasty I started was with Illinois, so I'm well familiar with you guys, and so I was rooting for y'all hard, and then y'all started tearing it up this season. So what really made this season special for Illinois football? Because it was an incredible one.
Man, honestly, just buying into the program, man. And this Coach B has a blueprint, man. If you stick to that blueprint, man, it's honestly hard to lose, man. But just we know that going into this season, we kind of had a tough schedule, man. We had added a new team to our conference, Oregon, playing against them. But honestly, man, just like I said, man, that hard work and that dedication, man, it really honestly started in the summer, man. Summer workouts, just putting our head down and grinding, man, and just becoming a family and a team, bro. That's really what I kind of felt that difference from the prior years. Like, we all became brothers, you know what I'm saying? So when we faced a lot of adversity during the season, we kind of stuck together, man, kind of fought it out, and we came up on top.
Love it, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time, and best of luck out here, man.
Here with the beast of a man, defensive tackle from Toledo, Darius Alexander. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Appreciate you having me.
No problem, man. So let me just get started by saying this. I interviewed one of your former teammates in Terrence Taylor.
Yes, sir.
who I actually discovered on a film study watching Quinyon Mitchell, and he stood out to me. And one of the things that he said to me was, I asked him, what's the next player from Toledo to step up in your place to be that guy for you and Quinyon after you guys leave? And he said your name. How you feel about that?
I feel wonderful. That kid Terrence right there, that's a high motor guy, high energetic guy, high active. That's a kid who work hard on his game every day. He just wants to win and succeed just like me.
So watching your film, man, you could do it all. You're all over the defensive line, making offensive linemen, suffer for the most part while you was up there in the MAC, right? So going against these guys from the Power 5 and everything, how's that changed? How are you adapting to it? It seems like you're adapting okay, but from your mindset, this week, how are you adapting to it?
From my mindset, I feel like I'm adapting well, but just more certainly, I'm just eager to go out there and compete. It don't matter what school you go to, particular to me, but just going out there and being able to show the coaches and the scouts that I can go out here and compete with the best of them.
Is there any teammate this week that you're learning a lot from as you go through this process?
I would say I'm learning from all the guys in the room. That's what I would say. I think I'm learning from all the guys. We pick each other's brain every day, all day and all night. So we just all learning from each other. That's what I would say.
So I ain't going to keep you too long. I got one last question. So kind of the same question I asked Terrence. Who is the teammate at Toledo that you think is going to leave a legacy after you leave?
A kid named Avery Smith. And then you got another kid named E-Man McNeil Warren. Those two guys right there, they're doing some great things right now. I watch those guys work hard every day, so I can't wait to see what they do in the future.
All right, guys. Well, this has been Darius Alexander, and I'm Dante, the East Coast Grant. I appreciate the interview today, man.
Thank you for having me.
All right, appreciate it, man.
And I'm here with Harold Fenton Jr. out of Bowling Green. This is East Coast Gridiron. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I can't complain. So, first and foremost, kind of as an icebreaker. So originally you started off as a defensive back. You're even an all-Ohio defensive back. And then picked construction as your major. I'm going to need you to explain the switch to tight end and why construction, because I read that and I went, all right, I got to jot this down real quick.
Okay, so I obviously love playing offense. I grew up playing a lot of offense. Construction, just got into it late. I was always into residentials and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what, for a major, construction management.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about construction, but destruction, you're quite good on that on the field with the defensive backs in there. This is one of the most loaded tight end classes. I'm not going to lie, you're my number one tight end in this draft class. Absolutely love you. It's crazy. You've got more broken tackles than Bowers and Tuckercraft combined in their NCAA. You're versatile all over the field. You play inline, you play slot, you play outside. You've taken some wildcats. I'm sure they'll even have you throw some passes. What kind of do you lead all that versatility to? And, how does that help you elevate the game? If the coach is like, I need you to line up here, where would you prefer to line up if I were to give you, you could pick whichever one, line up, give me a percentage on that?
I'll probably just say the slot. I'll probably say the slot in line, yeah.
All right, cool. I'm really hoping so, hoping with a lot of 12 personnels, maybe as an older tight end, kind of like with what Dallas Goedert did with Philly, with Zach Ertz still there, kind of 12 personnel line up and then eventually take over. And, last question, I see a lot of, Kyle Pitts with you with versatility, outside, again, just outside versatility, all of that. Who do you kind of compare yourself with and who do you kind of mold your game after, take little bits and pieces of?
Love Lamar Jackson, so obviously I love watching the Ravens and stuff like that, and kind of take a little bit of my pieces from Isaiah Likely.
Please don't go to the Ravens, that would break my heart. No, I'm kidding, man. Either way, good luck, man. Good luck in the draft, brother. Appreciate it. Joined here by Anthony Belton. How you doing today, man?
Good, how you doing?
I can't complain. Before you were an ACC powerhouse, you started off at the Georgia Military Academy, and you even earned the nickname of Escalade.
Yeah.
One, dope-ass nickname. How'd you get it? And then two, what did you learn from the Georgia Military Academy before you kind of transferred over?
Yeah, with the nickname, I got it from my strength coach, Coach Thunder, because we always did change the direction. He always said I'm smooth, and my size that ain't normal, so he just said I'm big Escalade because they ride smooth and they big and they look good. Yeah. And this was GMC, man, it just instilled so much. Thankful for Coach Burt Williams. He gave me a chance to go there, but just going to a military JUCO like that, The military aspect, it just instills so much discipline because we got to live with them, we got to eat with them, sleep with them. It's we raising the flat with them in the morning. So it's everything, they're so detailed just with anything. So it just carries over when you come from a place like that.
Yeah. No, so also another thing, again, as I mentioned, many of accolades at NC State, many of awards. One of my favorites was you had 51 pancake blocks. What do you kind of credit that for? Upper body strength, lower body strength, placement of hands, and how are you hoping to elevate that in the game so you can hopefully pancake block a TJ Watt or a Micah Parsons?
Yeah. Now really that's just at NC State, we just big on pancakes. You know, we got every game, we got leaderboards, and after every game, you get pancakes, you get served by it. So it's like a competition. So it's like every game we go in there to see who can get the most pancakes, the most knockdowns. And that's just something that's just instilled in us at NC State. You know, we big on straining the finish. And we think that for Coach 2J, that's something that Coach Garrison doing, Coach Dave doing, they just been carrying on over the years. So that's something we take pride in.
I'm sure IHOP absolutely hated seeing y'all every single Sunday. That's kind of funny. And, you know, just so, as mentioned, you know, you were at JUCO, you replaced former first-rounder 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀. You know, with how fast that you learned, you know, after replacing, again, first-rounder 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝘀, you think that kind of helps you out there? And, you know, were you able to learn a bit more right tackle, guard, or are you just mainly sticking at left tackle?
I mainly stick at left tackle, but just my time with Ike, we all know the type of player he was. He's an amazing player, you know, but this is not, that first year I spent rushing, like, he really showed us the way O-line should be played. He dominated. Like, every play he dominated, no matter what it was, pass, run. Like, he showed us, and we seen that just coming in out of JUCO young. You feel me? That's like something you want to model. Yeah. Like, he really was like what NC State offensive lineman should be. So we all just try to carry that on and keep that legacy going, because we all is one.
Yeah. And then, you know, hopefully, last question, hopefully a fun one. Would you rather absolutely sit somebody down on pass blocking, like on the ground standing over them, or run with your running back like 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀 60 yards and pancake as a lead blocker?
Oh, pancake as a lead blocker for sure. And downfield, like if you downfield block for your running back, one, that's showing you moving. You can run with the running back. And two, you just if you running in space blocking, pancaking, you're just an athlete. That's all it is. So I'll take that any day, man. Just being able to see my running back score, celebrating in the end zone, that ain't no better feeling.
This is reminding me a lot. You're reminding me a lot of Jordan Mailata right now. Anyways, man, I appreciate you. Good luck in the draft. Hopefully you get many fucking pancakes, man. Go to a place that got several IHOPs.
Between the Senior Bowl and the Combine, what were you looking to accomplish throughout this pre-draft process, and would you say you accomplished those things?
Man, I just set out to answer everybody's questions about me. You know, when I came out, people had a whole bunch of question marks, so I decided to go and just take a bet, just bet on myself and show everybody why I think I'm the best player in the draft.
Can you tell us about the impact that Nick had on the program despite only being here for 1 year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think he was a kid that a lot of people looked at. You know, he had a great work ethic. I think he understood how to practice. He understood how to prepare for games. I think he brought a lot of that into our room. Obviously those three guys with Rodas and some of the guys we have coming back formed a really tight connection. And I think he left a mark on where we want to be as a program.